Thank you for tuning in to All About the Girls, the podcast, where your host, me, Jenny Craig Brown, interviews incredible women to learn what powers them, what inspires them, and how they make our world a better place. Let's get to it.
Hello, everyone. Don't turn this podcast off. I know this is a guy's voice. I know this is very strange when you're used to listening all about the girls, but we wanted to flip this time and actually shine a little light on the Jenny Craig Brown that began this whole movement all those many years ago. And this is sort of a good time to flip the script, so to speak. And you're always asking all these folks about their inspirations and what they love. And maybe this is an opportunity to flip that script and do that for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm a little nervous being on this side of the table, if I'm not lying, but it'll be exciting.
You should be less nervous because I'm going to follow the format. If this were just me interviewing you, this could go hours.
The podcast would be called Moment Goes Rogue.
Yeah, again, as I said, there's going to be a guy talking half the time, or
First
ideally
ever.
10% of the time, probably, if I was a proper podcast host, but I don't know how to do that. But listen up as we tell a little bit of the story about Jenny Craig Brown.
Thank you. I'm pumped. So, and I think everyone probably heard that voice and went, oh, did I click the right podcast? But that's okay.
What's a dude doing on this?
We're flipping it up. I love the idea. Like I said, a little nervous, but we'll be okay.
So take me back. You're 45 episodes in.
Yeah, crazy.
Maybe even take me a step farther back than that. I'm going off script here.
You already said you were gonna, so we're ready.
Why? What'd you do this for? Like, what's the point?
I love the story behind how all this kind of came about, and I think that's the real true start of it was obviously my time here at GreatNewsLife, and what I quickly learned coming into the company. Of course, all the things you normally learn when you work here is just we're really fast and we're really crazy and we're really always going and we're always on and all of those things. But I got to, because of the nature of what I do, I got to meet a lot of incredible women and people in general. Yeah. But I have always sort of been this kind of, I hate the girl culture. I mean, I love that premise, but I think it's overused. So, but I really have always wanted to build up and support other women because I think we have so much to offer the world, and oftentimes because of history, that gets overlooked. And so I just remember kind of coming back to you from some meetings and some events I was at, and I literally said, like, I would just come in, you probably thought I was insane because you didn't know me that well to know I'm insane. But
I hired you because you were insane. I have watched you grow because you are insane, and I watch you lead our company now because you're insane. But you got to be a little insane to be able to do really great things. Yeah,
and I just remember, like, coming back so pumped about the people I was meeting, and the events were good, but and the partners are good, and the community is great. But when you meet those people that you immediately connect with, and most often for me, it was those women in the region that are really kicking butt, candidly. Like, they're just so empowered and confident, and I would come back and I would tell you about these people. Like, oh my gosh, Blair Milo, we went to school together, who knew we'd be where we're at, and she's so incredible, and she's so empowering. Donna Flanagan, so cool, like one of the best people you ever meet in your whole life. And we had a conversation once where you asked, like, how do we push this? How do we grow what you're doing more? And I think that's where that conversation stemmed the very first All About the Girls event. It was
a little smaller than it is now.
Yeah. What year was that? 2015? I'm making that up. It was 9 years ago, ish. And we had a very small, it was much smaller than it is now. We had a very small event. It was at Industrial Revolution just in the bar area.
Yeah.
And we brought our little stand-up podium that rolls around, and we,
It's a mic stand right now.
Now it's a mic stand, yeah. We don't even,
It's been here the whole time, and it works great.
But we can kind of afford a podium now, too, so it's kind of nice. And so we had these women come, like Blair Milo and Heather Ennis and Darlene Cohn, and these incredible women from
Norma.
the region. Yeah, Norma Serrano. Selena Weatherwax was there the first year, I believe, too. So I invited some of those women that had really impacted me immediately in my position here at Great News, and just to speak. And we didn't necessarily, I don't think, have our bearings with us yet. We said, come tell us how positive news affects you and how you use it every day in your everyday life. And that worked well. But what we saw was people came for those ladies. They really wanted to learn from, hear from, know better those people because they felt probably similar to how I felt. Like, these are people that I can grow with. These are people that I can learn from and grow from and can mentor me just by what they do every day. And definitely can trust them. So that was the very first All About the Girls. It's 50 people, and it grew from there extremely. So we caught on, I think you and I caught on very quickly, like, people like this. It's not just us, right? It's not just me. You've been a great proponent for empowering women, I think, the whole time I've been at this company. So I would assume probably even longer. But for me, coming in and seeing that the response was as good as it was so exciting, sort of humbling, because you thought, well, maybe I'm the only one that's really like this. Maybe I'm the weirdo. And it was false. People really enjoyed getting to know these women and hearing from them and being empowered by them. So we moved it to Sand Creek Country Club the next year. 125 people showed up, and I just remember thinking, holy hell, this is real.
Yep.
I never thought we'd have 125 people in a room. Also, Sand Creek, hello, we're fancy now. And now this year in 23, we're in the time warp, podcast time warp. But in 2023, we had 420 women at Urshel Pavilion in Valpo. So it has grown over its time immensely. And now everyone loves it with me. It's not just me anymore. And it's not me and 50 people. It's me and 420 other people.
And ultimately all built around a very simple premise. Just let women celebrate with other women what makes women awesome.
Yeah, and celebrate with the community. I mean, the best thing about All About the Girls
that was awesome, because you had hundreds of women walking around downtown Valpo, and it was just like a night of womanhood, whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
absolutely. And then you've got your 10% guys that show up, I never want to push them out. I always want to embrace them because they're the smart. I think you always say.
I say all the time.
They're the
smartest people in the world.
100%.
If you're an intelligent guy, you're sort of a goof nut if you don't think, hey, I'd like to go hear from a handful of just incredibly inspiring women, and what motivates them, what makes them tick, what do they respond to?
How do they do it all?
What's their story?
Well, how do they get it done?
Do it all? If I was a guy, if I'm a dad, I'm just thinking, okay, I got to do all this stuff. And then, whether the ratio is 90-10 or it's 60-40, there's not a lot of guys that are doing everything in life that a woman has to do in addition to what they have to do. And I look at anybody that does that and say, okay, if they're a leader in their home life and their family, and they're a leader here, that's a pretty impressive person.
It's like the leadership rocket scientist. Yeah. How the heck do you manage to do all of that and have the energy for it and be around for it and be at a 10 for it and really perform at that level in your home life, in your career life, in your personal life, in your friend life, like all of those things. Yeah. And that's what we see in these women. It's just they really can do it all. And how they do it is what I want to learn.
And they're so much less likely to shout about themselves than a guy is. If there's 100 or 400 of those guys, they're all clamoring to be the speaker and say, I'm the smartest guy in the room.
Yep.
There's a lot of those women that I don't think if you hadn't asked them to speak, they would ever publicly speak.
Oh yeah, many still tell me that there's so many cool stories of even just that little piece of All About the Girls of me. They ask.
Yeah.
I ask these women. Some of them know me really well, and some don't. But I call them up and say, "Hey, this is Jenny Craig," and then I explain who I am if they don't know who the hell I am. Yeah. And then I ask them, I have this event, and I would love for you to be a speaker. And I've had so many cool reactions. I had someone just last year, Kelly Mickey, she literally said, amazing. Can I call you back? And apparently, I learned later, hung up the phone, completely freaked out, didn't know if she could even do it, was excited but nervous, called me back and said, sorry, I had to freak out for a minute. I would love to. I'm honored. Or... and
you think, like, from my world, I think, okay, this lady's a seasoned police officer. You know, she's dealt with, like, challenges that would make me wilt.
100%.
But the opportunity to speak in front of a big crowd, that's daunting.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting to see who's pumped, who's excited, who's invested. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just been, from the freak out from people that still say, I don't really know why you chose me to do that, but I appreciate it. Or I had so much fun. Or I'm so glad I got to tell my story. Whatever the reason that they enjoyed doing it is, for me, the most important. And those stories that come from, I thought you were insane when you called me. I love them so much. It's probably one of my favorite parts about the event is asking those speakers to be a speaker.
And helping them have the confidence to do that.
Yep, absolutely. And I as you know, I let them, for the event itself, most listeners I probably know of both, but listen to the podcast most often. For the event itself, I don't give them talking points. Like, this is it's a podcast format. For the event, I give them a very loose subject. So this year, the theme was, this is me. So I said, I want you to tell your story of how you got to where you're at today, loosely based around this is me. Okay. What does that mean to you? How do you take it? I don't care. I don't want to give input on that because I want it to be solely your interpretation. Yeah. And how you pull that in is what makes it amazing, because it's not what I want them to say. There's been tons of people who I asked to be a speaker. I know the theme. I think they fit in well because I know they'll take this angle because I know a little bit about their life, and most often they don't. Yeah. And I think that's what makes it so genuine and honest.
But they take a different angle, which is like totally fascinating. You weren't even
I didn't even know. Yeah, exactly. Cool. I didn't know about it, and it was better, and it was more them, and that's what I think is really incredible to watch, is them come up with that. I've had a couple women ask me, like, do you want to hear my speech? Absolutely not. Yeah. Nope, I don't, because I don't want to have input. If you're really nervous and you just need to deliver it to someone, I'm here to listen always. But man, I want you to come up on that stage and deliver that to everybody, including me, because the confidence that comes from that is just amazing. And what you can really provide for the audience. Like, this year, every year we've had it. Someone makes me laugh, someone makes me cry, and most often someone can do both.
Oh, yeah, more.
Yeah.
Let's look back at some of the most impactful episodes that you've done. Think of some of those ones that, among all the 45, they jump out even more.
Good question. Obviously, as we hit the new year, I've been looking back at some of those and have really enjoyed doing so. I think Ivy Ford's a great example of someone who just surprised me so much. She's a blues singer from Chicago. She is an incredible musician. She's played with and for some of the most incredible blues folks of our time. And she came here and was so kind. And, people like that, I get so nervous. I don't know her. I just know her from afar and seeing her shows and just thinking she's so incredible. So when she said yes, I was pumped. When she got here, she was so kind and so nice and just gave me a great interview that gave so much input on who she is and how she does do it. She's got a daughter and she's got this traveling life of being this musician. So she was a great one. In the probably other spectrum of career bases, Erin Parker, she's a LaPorte High School student who I think in 22? High school teacher. I think in 22 she was Teacher of the Year. Yeah. Yeah, so after I had her on the podcast, I'm not saying they're correlated, I'm just saying.
Maybe.
But she was, and she was actually first year speaker as well. And I just think she's done work with Brene Brown, and gets this Teacher of the Year, and she the best part about her are not those things. They're how genuinely in love with her career and the students she is. Like, she loves being a teacher. She loves serving the community. She loves being a part of the community. So same thing. She's incredible.
She pours it out nonstop in every single thing that she does. And she has, like, forever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dr. V is another great example of someone who, if you guys don't know, Vanessa Allen McLeod. So we all call her Dr. V. She runs the Urban League, which is just one item on her huge list of things she's accomplished in her life and doing right now. And just same thing, someone who didn't know me well, who I just looked up to and saw from afar, and she came in, did the podcast. I loved her enough to have her speak at the event like the next year, because she was just, same thing. She's an accepting human being who you feel really that you can be a genuine person around, but she's also someone that will teach you something every single time you talk to her.
Yeah. And what I like about her, in addition to all those things, is she's mentoring you. She sees in you that you're a developing leader in the region, and she sort of wants to help you.
I hope so. I will take all of it.
But it's really important. Your base premise is women have got to help other women advance.
Yes, that's the whole premise of the event and the podcast.
It's not one's better than the other. It's just we'll all be better if we all help each other. And to me, Dr. V, to you, has been one of those people of, you got a cool thing going on.
Yep. Absolutely. She's just, mentor is the perfect word for her. I don't know that she knows that, so she'll know maybe now, but...
Breaking news, Dr. V.
Yeah, Dr. V.
You're a mentor.
I don't think this is a surprise to you at all.
You probably heard it like 150 times in your life,
not just me, but everyone. Exactly. And then, of course, so we got to the podcast land because the event had gone from, like I said, 2015-ish to actually, I think it's 13. Nope, 14. But I should probably know that number. But from the start to 2020, we had it. It had grown, of course. I think in 2019, we still had 300 people attend, so it was still pretty great. And then the pandemic hit. And so we actually launched the podcast in 2020 as a means on the day that we were supposed to have the event. So we were supposed to have it, I think, in June. The pandemic hit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, too, that the pandemic
Alexa,
hit.
I'm going to need you to chill.
How about you stop listening to me, Siri?
Oh, yeah. Siri, sorry. She's the worst. So 2020, the pandemic hits, and we pushed the event thinking, of course, as most people did, we've got a couple rough months ahead of us. Let's push the event from June, when it normally is, to September. Yeah. And then we obviously still could not have it.
Remember that time where we closed down for 3 days, and then it turned into a week, and then it turned into a year, and
6 months and a year. And exactly. So we launched the podcast on September 16th, if I remember correctly, 2020, and that was the day that we had pushed the All About the Girls event to. So we said, instead, let's launch this podcast, because no matter what happens in the world and with the world, we want to still be doing the work that we're doing with this podcast or with this audience. And with, building that group of women that want to support and work together. So we launched the podcast. And it was with Blair Milo. It was episode 1, which another great, great person who has just been, I've learned a lot from.
What can folks, if you're looking ahead into next year, we're closing out this year, if you're looking ahead into next year, what can folks expect on the horizon?
Yeah, we love to look forward and not backwards, right? So this year I'm pumped. We are already in the midst of scheduling and planning podcasts for early next year, of course. We'll have some really great guests. I'm not spoiling anything, but just there's some really incredible women that the careers alone will blow your mind. So stay tuned. But we'll also, we're going to switch it up a little bit. This year is going to be all about the girls, of course, again. We are not bringing in dudes. So you'll still probably be the only gentleman on this podcast. And that's because you're, of course, the founder of the company, which makes it important to us because I think for 2 parts. So one part, I guess the reason you're here, I love the flip the script idea. So I think that's really fun, and I appreciate it a ton. If I was ever going to have any gentleman on this podcast, it would be you, or maybe my husband. And I think the reason why would be you two have been an incredible push for that independent success that I've hopefully have in my life and that I'm working for now, but also of women. You have been in this company. I mean, right now we're 86, I would guess, percent women, 85% women. And that's not all my doing. That's your doing as well, because it was like that even when I got here. You really have always said, like, I know women can get stuff done and they can make it happen better than I or better than others. And I'm just going to hire all the powerhouse women I meet and kind of embrace them as well. So I think this is a great flip.
I've got two bosses in my life, a work boss in you and my home boss in my wife. And, you know, they've never failed me. My mom never failed me. Moms are just incredibly, and women are just incredibly consistent, and they find a way to get it done. So from my standpoint, we've pretty much always been, other than when Brett and I first started it, and Kyle was there, we've been, the rest of that history, it's always been run by women. And now it's run by women. It's mostly staffed by women. Yeah. I like guys. I like yourself, you know.
Yeah, Carson's filming with us. Yeah. He's the dude.
We got a couple of other ones. But left to themselves, a right collection of women, I think, can just do, like, crazy fabulous things.
I completely agree. So, great reasoning for why you're here, and I appreciate the time.
Tell me about changes in the year ahead.
So I mentioned
switch it up from a day standpoint just to help people connect with the podcast when it's best for them.
Absolutely. So our plan is, you know, since we started, we've launched on Sundays. And my whole premise, I've talked about it a couple times on the podcast, and I think even in the description, is I want to have an outlet for women. You know, I'm a food prepper. I'm a make as many or as few decisions as possible during the week type of person. So my weekends, oftentimes, my Saturdays and my Sundays are really always about food prep and working and prepping for the week and really getting, like, ready to go. If you're going to put it all on the field, you got to do it early. So I always launch the podcast on Sundays because that's my day to prep food. That's my day to get ready for the week ahead and do my work notes. And I literally, if it's a great week, hopefully always, I even pick out what I'm wearing every day because I don't want to make that decision during the week. So it made the most sense to me as this is a great motivating podcast on Sunday for me to say, these women are awesome. I can be too. But I think that's tough for others. So we're going to start launching the podcast midweek now.
Okay.
So we'll drop them on Tuesdays instead of Sundays. It gives folks that really do want to be off on a weekend. If you think about, sometimes you just need to turn off all the electronics and, like, sit in your hot tub or lay on the couch or, like, eat cookies on Sunday. That's okay. I want to allow...
Some people do that?
Yeah. Sometimes
Really?
I need a little reset. Right? So you know, if you're the prepper person on Sunday, just Wednesday or Tuesday it'll come out and you can kick it, you know, to your Sunday. But if not, I want to have that for if you're just having a bad Wednesday. I want you to have something to latch onto during the week that you can listen to it. And now you can save it for whenever's best for you. And I think that'll help our team promote it out to the best audience ongoing as well, so more people get to experience that. So yeah, Tuesdays it is. Just get ready for it. We're going to throw you guys for a little bit of a loop, but it'll be great. Not that big of a change, couple days. And it'll still be the first Tuesday of the month, so it's still coming in early. Sometimes that'll mean it'll be a little bit earlier and sometimes a little bit later, but that couple day difference I think will help a ton.
Absolutely. What would you like, as its founder, this to grow into?
I mean, I feel like on a much obviously smaller scale, I want it to be what you want Great News to be. You know, we've talked since the day I met you that this is a national goal, right? I want great news everywhere is what you've always told me, and I think the same with this. I think the podcast and the event itself.
Yeah, why not? If it's a good thing.
Let's give it to everybody.
Have it be everywhere.
Absolutely. That's the best thing about podcast world is we can make it everywhere and everyone can listen. And I know if you're living in California, you might not know Blair Milo, or you might not know Ashley Dickinson, or you might not know these people. Who cares?
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know them that well, and they still impact me greatly, and I think they can everybody else as well. So I think that is just a great way to hone it in.
Well, and I think we're all used to, or many people that are listening to podcasts or stuff on social or online, we're all used to listening to stories of famous people somewhere else that we don't know.
Right.
These are people, they may or may not be famous in your realm, but they have the same inspiring story of how I battled cancer, or how I started my business, or how I searched to be an independent artist, or how I developed into the corporate healthcare world, or whatever.
I don't know Jane Fonda, but she has had a great impact on me throughout my whole life, right? And let's get these folks doing the same.
Yeah.
And then I think the event, same thing. Like, obviously right now we have it in Valparaiso, Indiana. How do we have two? And how do we make one in, California, and one in New York, and one in Chicago? Like, let's have them everywhere. And I think that just takes that support of all those people. Like, let's dive in. If you like All About the Girls, the event, let's go. Let's bring it somewhere else. If you like the podcast, listen, share it, tell your friends, tell people about what it's doing for you so that they listen too, because it's important. I think we all need positivity in our life, hence the reason for your business. We all need those people to lean on and learn from, hence All About the Girls. So let's give that to people. If you don't have it, I want to give you other people. So often we hang out with our friends. This was my early 20s, I think. I had a lot of friends, and we'd all sit around, and what do you talk about? That girl over there, or that angsty thing at work, or that girl, and it was angsty. And I hated it. You always want to say, like, you see all the TikTok videos and all the Instagram posts about, like, let's focus on the good. Let's focus on our careers and helping one another and building each other up, and the whole all tides, tides rise all boats or whatever. I think that's really important. Let's stop doing the drama BS, and let's really support one another and build each other up and help each other. If you see that person struggling or not being who you know they are, let's help them, not talk smack about them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think the ultimate premise is there are terrible things in the world. There's things we struggle with every day. In the midst of making 45 episodes, there's probably 100 things that went awry. How it got recorded, or scheduling of the thing. The mic
I'm trying to remember. There's someone that didn't even get a video because we had sound and not a video. Yeah. Whatever. It's just.
The point is, you got to go fix those individual things, but a lot of us in life, we dwell on what's wrong.
Yeah.
And you got to go fix what's wrong. Immediately, boom, change it. But the majority of your life is good.
And the dwelling doesn't do anything, right? Like, this is my biggest advice to most people. It's non-productive. So in any negative situation, look at what you can fix and what you can't. And what you can't, I think Tracy Brubaker said it better, and her tone and meaning was a little different, but put it in a box. Tracy Brubaker, guest on the podcast, speaker at the event, and at our event, she said, like, I take those words that are unkind and I put them in a silver box, and I put that away, because those don't need to be released into the world. And I think it's oftentimes very similar. Let's put all the negativity away. Let's really try to focus on the positive and what we can do for one another. And it's
not Pollyannish. It's just, where am I going to spend my mental attention?
Yeah. You can't change this stuff.
Yeah.
Just put it away. If you can, then put it in this bucket. And the stuff that you can change, dive in each one and change it as you need. The stuff you can't change, it's going to give you an ulcer if you sit and think about it too much. It's going to play its course however it's gonna. What can I change in the meantime? And I think that's what we can learn from everyone is how they do that. Like, that's a hard thing to do. I say it like it's just natural for me, and it's definitely not. I'm a person that's said unkind words about other people. I'm a person that has at some point messed some stuff up in my life or been messy. That happens. Let's learn from that. To everyone. Yeah. Let's learn from that. Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's learn from other people's mistakes. When that person isn't being who you expect them to be, don't go talk smack about them. Learn from what they're doing and don't do it.
Yeah.
And then help them don't do it, right? Like, that's kind of the way that should work, is let's build up one another to be better humans, because we all have childhood trauma or drama or stuff that has happened to us that makes us the way we are. I think the best way to solve a lot of that is to learn from that and get away from it. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
Change. And I think change and growth comes most often from you having to level up. And when you hang out with people that force you to level up, you're going to be a better person. If you hang out with the people that complain and talk smack about one another all day, you're not leveling up whatsoever. And it's bad for you. It's bad for your body. It's bad for your soul. It's bad for your well-being. And that's what I want to teach everybody in the whole world is how we do that better. Even myself.
Yeah. Feeling bad is just a negative activity. Like, oh, I
Absolutely.
feel bad.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad. Correct something if you want to do it differently. Be empathetic with the person if that's really what they need, whatever the situation is. But don't feel bad. Like, it doesn't help anybody. If I feel bad, if you smacked your car up and I felt bad, are you any better off?
This car's still broken.
I could just drive you to the repair shop. Like, that would be helpful. Feeling bad, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and just accept that. Go, okay, I feel bad. Here's why. Moving on.
Yeah.
Let's go fix this and this, and then you won't feel bad. And I think that's the thing is production or movement forward oftentimes cancels that. If you don't want to make that phone call, well, you feel bad because you're nervous. So once you make the phone call, no matter what happens, you're going to feel better because it's the weight off the shoulder. Yeah. And I think that's life.
And rarely does the person pick up the phone and say, oh my gosh, you terrible person, I can't stand you, and hangs up.
No, literally, it's never happened to me.
We tell people a lot when you're going out in the field, like, don't worry about going up to people and say, hey, can I get a picture of you? Because, like, never in our lifetime has somebody said, oh my gosh, bam, and
punch in the face.
Photographer. So, like,
we're not punching people.
No one's going to do anything really bad.
Worst case, they say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I've not even had anybody be mad about it.
If
they want a picture.
Good purpose, it's okay to be assertive. Maybe even, I think, pushy or very
pushy. We've been called that a time or two.
That's a whole separate podcast.
Yeah, we won't go down that route, but we've been called that once or twice.
So, I know the story pretty darn well. I'm, again, as I began, I'm impressed, inspired, constantly amazed by your story. Tell me how you got here.
So how'd I get here? Like I said, I'm trying to instantly, like, I love when people go way, way back, but I'm annoying and I don't know if anyone cares. So I'll just say it, and apologies if it wasn't the format people like. I grew up in the region, so I'm from LaPorte. We grew up in a very rural community in LaPorte. I've got 2 siblings, so there's 3 of us. My parents are married still to this day. They've been married for like almost 40 years, I think.
In the region.
In the region,
your
my dad's from Portage.
Region.
My mom's from Gary. She grew up. She was born in Gary, lived there till she was a kid, and then she moved out to kind of North Judson, Pulaski County area. And my dad grew up in Portage and lived there most of the time until he started dating my mom, and of course then moved. So we ended up in LaPorte, I think, because of that. Portage, if you think about Portage and Pulaski County, that's kind of in the middle.
Yep.
And so we grew up just really normal kids. Nothing too extraordinary, not very rich by any means, pretty poor kids. Just really normal, probably lower middle class kids. And I was very much, it's so funny, I'm sorry, I'm sure Tom Dermody is not listening to this, and I apologize if you are. I was very much the kid who said, LaPorte is the worst, and I have to get out of here immediately. I went, I think it was about 4 days after I graduated high school. I did that.
Yeah.
I said, I'm out of here. Yeah. I moved to Lafayette. My sister had gone to college at Purdue, so I was like, I'm going to go hang out with her. Plan was to go to college at Purdue, but I had to wait to get into the major I wanted. So I was taking some core classes at Ivy Tech. Loved Lafayette. Met a ton of great people. Some of my best friends to this date. Dawn, who flew in this year for All About the Girls from South Carolina to hang out. So I met her and some other great people and really loved it. But decided not to go to Purdue because I didn't want to wait anymore. And when I went to school for graphic design. And when I was in Ivy Tech, I really liked it. And I'm like seeing my sister's candidly very large number tuition. And I was like, I don't want that debt. I don't want any of this. And I love my school. So I decided to stay there. But they changed the major, so I had to move. And my choices were South Bend or Indy. And at the time, my parents still lived in LaPorte, so it seemed perfect for me to head a little closer to home, be in
But I
South
don't
Bend.
have to live in the port.
But I don't have to live in the port.
Yeah.
So I'll go to South Bend. I'm still cooler than the port. And then my parents, of course, immediately sold their house, bought my grandparents' farm, and moved closer to Indy. And so I'm no hard feelings. Just kind of made me feel like maybe it was on purpose, but it's fine. So I moved to South Bend. Same thing. Met incredible humans that I'm still great friends with today. Sharina, as you know, is my best friend in the whole wide world. And finished school there. Got the classic like graphic design degree. I got a web design. Don't tell anyone because I can't web design to save my life. But I got a web design degree and a graphic design degree. And then I started working for, also don't tell anyone, a newspaper.
We won't hold that against you. They're not all bad.
So yeah, I did some graphic design out of college for a couple years, and in that time frame, started dating my now husband, and he lived in North Judson, just south.
Great moment in life.
Chris is a fan.
For any of you that have not met Kevin, your life will be better off when you have met him. Just one of those absolutely strong, solid, rock foundation guys. And when he's around, he's bigger, he's handy, he's handsome, he's just, I feel more comfortable when he's around. So
Same.
I can only imagine what you feel like. But
Yeah.
yes, Kevin is one of my bromances, actually.
Yep, I know. And he's a listener, so he'll be very happy to hear that. And he listens, and he gives me great feedback where he'll say, the sound was a little off, or man, you were really good here, or hey, you felt a little off here. You know, all of those.
But he's just a great dude
yeah.
that totally supports you. Like,
and he is like you in that
he's in it
supportive
for
women
you
thing.
like a
Yeah.
billion%.
Yes, he is my biggest cheerleader, and he's so fantastic. And it's so cool. Like, we knew each other growing up because he lived a couple doors down from my aunt. So when we would go to my aunt's house often, he'd come over, we'd all play and hang out when we were little kids. I'd see him at like Christmas Eve's events at my aunt's house. He'd come over. He's kind of, my aunt always had adoptive kids. She would always, these are my, basically her kids' friends, her friends' kids. Everybody came over to see her because she's just a magic person. So we got kind of reacquainted then, and we went to a New Year's Eve party together. And we were supposed to go to a party in Chicago together, and it was my cousin's party. So we were going to meet up and go to Chicago together because he didn't drive to Chicago very much, and I lived in South Bend, so it'd be great. So he brought me flowers to the door, and then I was like, uh-oh, I think this is a date. He's cute. I wasn't expecting that. So, and that's history. Honestly, we had our first date on New Year's Eve, and it was 10 years married in August. And that's what brought me back to this region was he and I were dating, but I lived in South Bend and he lived in North Judson, which is so odd because now my parents have moved back to North Judson where my mom grew up, and he's living in North Judson. And I'm in South Bend, and it's about an hour and 15, and that's a lot of driving back and forth, and he worked nights, and I worked days, and I had a second job on the weekends, so we didn't get to see each other very much. So as our relationship progressed, of course, I wanted to come back closer, either with him or closer to him. So I just did this weird thing where I made a resume for myself as a graphic designer and a portfolio, and I put it in a folder and I mailed it to every graphic design company in the region. And somebody called me back and they were like, well, we weren't hiring, but you look pretty cool. Let's talk. And so I got that graphic design job in Valpo, which brought me to the area, moved in with him in North Judson. And then I met this crazy girl named Teresa, who, shout out to her, she's a great friend and she's a great person. She introduced me to you guys. I had come back to the region, but my husband's working nights, boyfriend at the time. I don't know anyone anymore. And I had no friends, right? Everybody moved away. What do you do? Yeah. So I started in a run group I found on your guys' sites at the time, not mine, but yours.
Whoever, by the way, I don't know, it's 15 years ago. It's literally. Now like 11, 12 years ago, whatever it was. Whoever posted that event, thank you. I probably didn't send you an email. I might have not updated your doc at the time. This is inside baseball.
You're giving, I was going to say, you're giving everyone
This is giving inside
nightmares.
baseball information away. And probably, making people like Brett and Karn and Caitlin and everyone else a little
Shudder.
cringy.
Yeah.
But thank you, because if we wouldn't have posted that run information, and if you wouldn't have had met Teresa, like
I wouldn't be here.
you wouldn't be here. And I'm mostly not thinking about you. I'm mostly thinking about me. Like, my life would be dramatically different if you hadn't seen that post about the run club.
Thanks. Yeah, I started running with Teresa, and she started telling me about you guys, and I thought probably what everybody thinks when they first hear about this, like, really? Good news? I mean,
that guy's nuts.
That guy's nuts. Well, they take pictures at the races I run, so that's cool. And then I saw that weird job posting that probably everyone's heard that story of the mini-me. It was Chris Mallman posting about mini-me position. And it was so funny because the job, I just remember it saying like, hey, you're going to work a lot of hours, but I'm going to buy you a lot of coffee. Like, it's going to be okay. I need a jack of all trades, master of none. And it just hit me like, that's me. Like, I'm a graphic designer. I think I'm decent with people. Like customer service. I've been a server and a bartender for so many years that I love talking to people and I love getting to know people. I know this graphic design world. Like, I obviously know the basics of business from being in college and writing emails and doing all those things. So I just texted her. I'm like, this job seems weird, but I kind of like it. And she was like, actually, you might be a good fit. You should apply. And I just felt like the company I was currently working for, they were great. They're great people, but it just was slower than me. And I'm so hyper that I needed more. Like, I would finish all my work by like 1 o'clock, and then I'd be planning what I was going to make for dinner for the week. It was just not me, and I needed more. So I met with you, and your wife was my first interview was with Natalie. And it was crazy because it was like 3 hours long at our old office in Belleville.
Says, come in and meet with me and my wife.
Yeah, like I meet the wife, and at the same time, I didn't know Natalie was the wife. I was just like, Natalie's a nice lady, and her right hand Vicky is fantastic. They're great. And then they're like, do you want to meet the CEO? And I was like, I think so. I don't know. I've been here for an hour already, and I don't know what I'm getting into. And then I had to like hurry up and leave because it was so long. I thought, my husband thinks I've certainly been abducted. Yeah. He's probably on his way up here to find my car. And I got the job offer and I accepted, and the rest is history. So it's been
just
10
smooth
years.
Sailing ever since.
Absolutely not. We've had some disagreements, probably I would call them, through the years. Some might call them knockout, drag-out fights. Either way. But I think when you work
Depends on your perspective of life. You know?
How much screaming did you hear at home as a kid? If it was a lot, this is nothing.
Yep.
But I think honestly, like, if you look at our 10 years, like, I've been at the company, it was 10 years in February, it's almost 11 now. Tons of growth, tons of hard days, but tons of growth. Like, we had days where I think the first 6 months, I worked 7 to 7 probably most days because I dove in and I loved it. Well, the more I loved it, the more you said, hey, she loves this, here's more stuff. And I just kept saying yes. And I didn't know what that meant. And I knew I was working a ton, but I knew I liked what I was doing and I liked the direction of the company and I felt like they could grow so much. And so for me, it was like, I'm going to say yes until I face dive, right? Like nose plant. But I think that was the goal, was just go until you can't anymore and we'll figure out the next step.
And even if you face plant, like,
yeah, these guys had my back
off.
even. Yeah,
like, we
exactly.
Got you. We'll help you get back up, cleaned up, get a bottle of water, whatever, get your bearings again.
Have
and
a beer.
then you go forward.
Yeah.
Have a beer.
Have a cry, whatever it is.
Have a cry, have a yell, have a shout. But to me, you and this company and me and my wife, this is a match made in heaven for us because you care at the level I do. You believe at the level that Natalie does. You trust in the level that we both do.
Yeah.
So to me, this has been a sort of a perfect fit because
thank you.
You have the soft skills I'm not so hot at, or I'm not very patient for. You've got
You
the
said it.
ability to step into the front of the room and do everything as it relates to leading the company and making decisions and being the public face. But you understand also just how hard this is to do. If it were easy, there'd be a ton of people doing it.
Yep.
And
that statement is true to life, right?
Yeah,
if it was
it's
that
true to
easy, everybody does.
everything.
What is it like? You're more likely to be a millionaire than you are to have a six pack.
Yeah.
Well, that's because that's real damn hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key to so many things is, are you willing to work for it?
The challenge, for those that may not be aware, the challenge of anybody working here is there's not just growth potential, there's growth requirement.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people say, I'd love to work at a company that allows me to grow. Definitely got that. Like, no doubt about it, 1,000,000,000%.
It's literally the only
There's
way.
not very many places that say, yeah, but that's actually like required. And
Yeah. And when you have
But
other
it's-
people, it's the same thing
yeah.
of like why women should support other women is when you have that group of humans that get together and they are talking about how they can grow and be better. What if that's at your work job, like work life? Like what if that's at your job where it could be the opposite, where you go to work and you listen to everybody talk smack about one another or the person that's not in the room, or
And
you
they
could
don't
go to
want
work.
you to grow.
Right.
And they want you to stay where you're at because you're a threat to them.
Yeah.
I-
And it's a part of our mission here, like where we call it deer and headlights. The deer and headlights week. Everyone comes in. You, Carson, you could probably say the same. You come in, you're here for a week. Week 2, you're like, are you kidding me? Curse word, curse word, curse word. I cannot do all this. And now those people, Cammie's a great example. 5 years later, she literally laughs at what she used to get done in a day because she's grown so much in her time here. That's a joke now. And I think that that's true with a lot of people that have been here. It's just that's the company you created. That's why you've grown the way we have, is that those people, hopefully me included, have helped grow because they latch onto that premise of, holy
They
crap,
either
get
latch
ready for
on
the
or-
ride.
Yeah, they latch on or they run away.
Yeah, we have the
there's
same.
not a
You'll
lot of
grow
people in
or you'll go.
between.
Yeah, you'll grow or you'll go because either you're on this and you're saying, I don't know what the heck this is going to bring me, but I know my hair's blown back and I can't wait for more. Or you're going to say, y'all are nuts, I'm out.
Yeah.
That depends on
both
who
are
you are
great.
as a person.
Yeah.
And both are great. Yeah, sure. For you, you're going to know immediately what one's your choice. And that's awesome for you. And I think that works so well because all those people that said, I'm out of here, y'all are nuts, they're not bad people. They're great. It's just not a good fit for this. Media is already fast as hell. If you think about media and always having news, like even on the good side, there is stuff that comes up just like that. You can't get out of that because we're in media. So you always have to be moving fast. That's, I think, why I love the company is it felt like home for me. It wasn't about the hours or it was so easy or one day I'm going to hopefully make zillions of dollars. It was nothing about that. It was, I think these people are like me. And it was one of the first times outside of the service industry that I felt like the speed was something that was matchable to me.
Yeah.
And that's hard to find. And so I think when you're those people, you have to find your people. And I felt like I had found my people. And it's been a crazy ride for sure, the 10 years, but I think we've done so much cool stuff. And that means so much to me. If you think about like this, I mean, just this alone, there's a lot of employers, founders, CEOs that would say, you're adorable. I would like you to go do your job. And instead we said, how do we push out this love you have for meeting other women and connecting with them? And I said, I don't know, let's have this event. And you said, hell yeah. I think that's the difference is you've allowed us as a team through the years, each person on their own and individually, to be that person that they are and really pushed it out there and said, yeah, you want to go fly? You know, here's the rocket ship, go. And I think that makes it to where people can do that. Like, this isn't, no offense, podcast world, we love you. You haven't made me any money. Like, you haven't made me a dime. And it costs a little bit of time. It's very affordable to do. We're not doing this because I said I want to do it and I found $50,000 in sponsors. We're doing this because it's the right thing to do. We're doing this because it's a movement we believe in. And I think that's one of the main reasons Great News Life is such a great company is we still promote, cover, publish 60% of our stuff is free. Yeah, 60% of our news is published, created for free. That doesn't mean it's free to me. We pay those people.
There's no subscription. There's no...
Yeah, but the school stuff we do is free. All About the Girls is free. The event, of course, we charge ticket prices, but they're cheaper than any other event in the literal region. And the podcast is free. And it's not because we have a sponsor. Because what if we didn't have a sponsor? Then we would just cancel it? No. Our Veteran Series, our Life in the Spotlight series, all of that stuff is done, whether we have a sponsor for it or not, because it's the right thing to do. And that's what makes me want to be here every day, is because you and the whole team has always been about doing the right thing, even when it's harder. And that's important to me.
I think you follow your parents' example. That's probably a great lead into the next question. Who inspired you as a woman developing?
It's a tough question for me, if I can be honest. I have had...
You probably take certain lessons from certain people, where it's not just this woman, and I followed her intensely.
To the T or whatever, yeah.
But I took this out of that woman, and this out of that woman, and this out of this person.
Yeah, and even some of the negative. If you think, I've said a couple times on the podcast previous, my mom and I are great. Like, we get along well. I called her, I think at like age, I've said this on the podcast before too. I called her at like age 21 or 22, and I was like, I'm sorry for being B word, for like age 12 to age now. because we had a complicated relationship growing up. She was the mom. My dad worked all the time. She worked most of the time, but was more of, she was doing both, right? So she was the one I was slamming the door on. She was the one I was yelling at and raging against the machine. And so I think
it's just me.
Now it's you instead, which is great. My mom says thank you. But I think, I learned a lot from her. And I see it, and some of them I'm like, I do these things because my mom, and then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm my mom, And so I think it's so funny because she is that person, and she's a fantastic caregiver. So our family jokes about it, but to this day, my mom's 5, and retired. My dad is 61 and not retired. And she still gets up every single morning at some obnoxious hour. It's like 4 a.m. And she does Susie Homemaker to a T that I will never reach. She gets his lunch ready. She makes his coffee. She picks out his clothes, and she starts his shower. So he gets out of bed when the shower starts.
These are things that Kevin needs to ask you to start doing.
And Kevin will get murdered. No, but I think I don't want to do those. I'm not that person. Yeah. But I do have my friends and those closest to me know I have an odd caregiver about me. It's not that. I'm not my mom by any means in that realm. I don't start my husband's shower. Candidly, I brag if I make him dinner. Because why are you not making me dinner?
Yeah.
I've worked too, and candidly, probably more hours.
Yeah.
But I think we have a great balance. But I think a lot of that came from my mom. When I have company, but the favorite part of having a party at my house is hopefully, and most often, because I live in the middle of nowhere, I have guests that stay. And I absolutely love the next morning. Party was great. Everything's fun. New Year's Eve. Now it's New Year's Day, say. And I want to be up. I want to be making everybody coffee, making them breakfast. I want them all at the table chit-chatting about yesterday and how great it was while I make them breakfast. It's my most favorite part of the whole thing. That's from my mom. She's that person. She's been that person. That's how I grew up. Or my obsessive Saturday morning cleaning. That's my mom. That's who she was. She would always put the radio up really loud, too loud for any of us to do anything fun, because then we're all cleaning. And we have to, because there's nothing else to do, because you can't hear yourself.
And you're listening to mom's music, which at the time you probably didn't like.
Literally to this day, Ozzy Osbourne, I don't even remember it was the double album. I don't remember what it was called, but that CD, because it was CDs, that was the main one. And I remember it so well because of that. And she would just turn it up, and then she'd clean everything, and we'd have to help. And a lot of that I've taken from her. I don't know if that's motivation, but it's something that's made me who I am that I really like.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. I think other people. I mentioned earlier Jane Fonda, like of the people I don't know, like Jane Fonda has been, I just love her spirit. I love who she is. I love her background, her upbringing. I know she's a bit controversial, but I think she's controversial, and she says, and you're welcome. And I think that you're welcome, it was one of the All About the Girls event themes, you're welcome world. I think when you can come into the world and say, like it or not, you're welcome, I love that so much. So for me, those people are really incredible. And then my aunt, probably she's passed away now. She passed away several years ago, but she's probably the reason, well, she's the aunt. That's the reason I know Kevin is she was my aunt that I would always hang out with. She was the one I could tell things to. It's the aunt I try to be to this day. I don't want kids. I don't like them. But I have nieces and nephews that are my favorite humans in the whole world. And I think I am that aunt, air quotes, that aunt that says, yes, we're having a sleepover. Yes, everyone's coming. Yes, you're eating all the sugar. And yes, I'm sending you home at 9 a.m. the next morning because I cannot handle you anymore. And I think that I've got a niece that's 10 months old, and I've got a niece that's 19. And I think it's so fun to have all of them and see their growth and be a part of their life in this fun way. And so I think that she made me that person. And it's cool. Like, I love to be that, like, I'm the aunt that's like, you want a $300 Christmas gift? Let me see if I can work it out. Yes, I will buy that for you, you know? And like, I want them to come to me like I did her. And it's working.
Yeah. And beyond all the fun and the gifts and the entertaining with the kids, you were connecting with your aunt. You knew you had another outlet. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you want to go to your mom. Sometimes you want to go to a sister or something. But there's other times you want to go to somebody that's close to family, but a little bit more chill. And
Yeah. She was such an amazing human. And I think she's so many people's favorite human. And so she was just such a good... And same thing, I've got several aunts. My mom's one of 13.
Okay.
So I've got... I think there's 6 women in that side. I think 6.
How do you have 13 kids?
13. I think it was 6 and 8. Or I don't remember the mix of boys to girls, but there were several women in that group. And same thing, I have an aunt. Her name was Violet, which is already cool. She died when I was very young, probably 13 or something. But she was bougie. And I think if we all know me, as I like, if you're watching, I've got some glitter on today. I make my own glitter to custom to the event I'm attending. I wear gems on my face on Saturdays. You guys have all probably seen me at the All About the Girls event. I dress up as obnoxious as possible. And she was the one that did that. Like, she was always the one that raged against the family machine. Like, my mom was brought up very Catholic and you've got this old school farming Catholic family that came from Black Oak, Gary, to start their farm in the middle of nowhere. And she was the one that was like, yeah, but I really like velvet and I really want to go buy crystals. And so I think my bouginess probably came from her.
That's awesome.
I still have some of her things that were given to me when she passed away, because it was like, I don't know that anyone was like, Jenny needs, I think they were like, no one's going to like this but Jenny. And I think that made me who I am.
Your embrace of who you are is why these people have connected to you. They're very authentic. Everything that people would probably critique you for are the exact same things that people compliment you for. And I think among these people, what you appreciate about them is they've embraced who they are. It's like, this is who I am, you know, this is me. Mm-hmm. That's the ultimate.
It's sort of the reason for that subject this year. This is me. It's just exactly that. Like, I know I'm weird, definitely a different human being, and I think most people like me.
Everybody
but I think for me,
embrace
exactly,
it. Like,
embrace it and love
nuts.
it. And then if you don't like it, that doesn't make you a bad person, but it sure as heck doesn't make me a bad person either.
Yeah.
You could just not like me. I get it. I'm loud. I curse a lot. I say a lot of words. I'm very emphatic. Everything I do is a little extra. You see it a lot now during the holidays. It's like, oh, if I'm having the party, we're having glitter and we're having something for the kids to do. We're going above and beyond.
When you were beginning to think about your career, maybe not at 18 when you said, I want to get the heck out of Dodge and leave LaPorte. But
I need to bring it back to that to say, by the way, sorry to interrupt you, that sorry, Dermody, I hope you kept listening. I love LaPorte. Like, I live 30 minutes south of there. I'm there all the time. LaPorte candidly, I don't think it was as bad as I thought it was in high school, but you're in high school and you're dumb.
Yeah.
And I think the other portion is Mayor Milo, Mayor Dermody, everybody has worked so hard to bring so much great stuff to LaPorte that it rocks.
Yeah. Now it's cool.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Michigan City as well. Both have come up so much since when I was in high school that if I was back, I'd probably be like, well, this is pretty rad. I should probably stay here. It probably would have saved me some travel time. But I wouldn't know the humans, so I'll take what it is now.
As you were entering a career or thinking about yourself as you were going to develop, would you ever have imagined where you're at now? Or what did you imagine?
No, honestly, no.
Did you imagine anything?
Yeah, I did. So when I first, I think, same thing nowadays, how you figure out what you're going to do for a living is a little bit more developed. Probably still could use some growth, but I think in high schools and the programming they have is a little more developed now than then. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I remember, I think it was high school, at the end of my senior year, they had you take a test at the time, and it was kind of like, what should you do? What would you like? Those sorts of things, and I basically said, I want to make a lot of money. I want to do something artistic or creative, which pointed me into graphic design, and I thought, well, I don't know, especially at that time. Guys, I'm old. This is 2001. I didn't know a lot about computers. I was not a tech person whatsoever. We didn't have cell phones, so I didn't know what that meant necessarily, but I knew I liked the idea of being able to make good money and be artistic at the same point. I didn't want to be a starving artist, and I didn't have an art form that made me want that, so I thought this is a great way to be creative and still do it. But then when I pictured that, it was way different than now. At the time, I wanted to go get my degree, move immediately to Chicago. I was going to live Sex and the City life, right? Like, Sex and the City was like the thing that you aspired to be.
I'm going to make to be a fancy designer in Chicago,
live in my amazing rooftop apartment.
Night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, you know how unrealistic that is now. Those people live in the suburbs so they can afford that. Or they're so rich that it's beyond any graphic designer's life. So that's what I went to school for. And that was my plan, was literally until 2008-ish, was like, I'm going to finish school, I'm going to get a job, get a little experience, and start applying for jobs in Chicago, and I'm going to go do that. And I think probably a mixture of, when my first job in the newspaper biz was in Niles, Michigan. Niles Daily Star, shout out. I used to have to design the craziest ads, and like the leader is like an ad newspaper, and I used to have to lay out all these ads, and I loved it. The job was great, but it was just, it's just exactly what every other student sees when they graduate is, well, but when I looked on the internet, it said that this job could make anywhere between 70 and 130K. Why are you offering me $12 an hour?
Yeah.
That does not compute in my brain. Of course, now I know that's literally realistic and just no one knows that. But for me, it was, I'm going to go be the fancy graphic designer. I'm going to be Carrie from Sex and the City, live the life of dreams, never get married, never have kids, and just be the city girl. And now I live in the middle of nowhere, and I'm married. I still don't, that did stick. I didn't want kids. But not the same at all. Not the same at all.
You're the country girl that loves to go to the city.
Absolutely. That's well said. Yes. Like, I live in the middle of nowhere, and I absolutely love driving home. I love the drive because it does allow me that space. I have a little stage in my backyard, and I use it as a little yoga stage in the summers and have live music out there. This is the first summer we've had live music out there, but we had live music out there.
Like Nashville Music Festival vibe thing going on?
Same thing. Hear me now. Just give me 4 years. We'll have something. It won't be Lollapalooza, but it'll be, JCB Fest or something.
No doubt.
And now I love it. And that it's so interesting to see those things. But I found very quickly, thankfully for some other friends' experiences, that the big city's awesome. It's glorious to go see the lights and that experience of all the energy you get when you go to the city. But I don't know that I want to use that much energy on just being in the city every day. It's harder, right? There's just more adversity in your day when you live in the city. If the bus comes on time, if the train comes on time, if there's something stopped on the tracks, if it's cold, if something's closed, if traffic's just bad, if the dog decided to run out and ruin everyone's day, whatever it is. And so I think I don't miss that at all, but I do. I still love to go to the city, whether it's Indy or Chicago or anywhere across the world. I love to travel. I just don't want to do that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want your little bit of solace.
Yeah.
Away
I want that
everybody.
Sunday where I really can turn it off and I can just go sit in the hot tub and then go do yoga and have a beautiful sunset and look at the stars at night and actually be able to see them. I just love it. And we've got a really cute little piece of property that we've made ours, and it's really important to me to have that space. And you can't have that space most often in the city because you're always in someone else's space.
Tell me, have you ever hit a bump along the road? Have you ever hit an obstacle? Is
Oh my gosh, so many.
That's challenged you anytime?
So many. I think, obviously, there's loss. I think through my college years, I lost a lot of friends and a lot of family that were really rough. But I think everybody goes through that. I think bumps along the road in my career, man, I'm fortunate to have fewer than most, I think, honestly. I've been here almost 11 years. To have that is by far better than most can say. So I think I would preface that by saying I know I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate, probably very privileged to have the setup that I have. But I think a lot of it was just because it's what I built. There was a lot of times where my husband and I are not doing vacations. I think the first 3 or 4 years we were married, we did very little just because we wanted to get a new house and we wanted to save money. And my husband's the kind of more responsible one that gives me that vibe. And so it was helpful for me. But I think career-wise, I think the pandemic did that. I think just us going through changes in my career, growth within the company, that was always, like you said, it's not even an option. You just got to grow. But I think through time, as you grow, the people around you might not, and that sometimes is hard. So those cause a lot of bumps, whether it's work relationships, when you move ahead of somebody. I think that causes bumps in the road every time, and how you do that will create or decrease bumps. And I think there's a lot of stuff I did. We joke here at the office, there's a lot of stuff I did in my early days, especially with this company, but that if I wouldn't change them today knowing what I know, because I think it would change the future. If I could change it in that instance and not affect anything else, yes, because I just didn't respond well. And I think there's a lot of things where change is hard. How you deal with it makes you who you are. And there's a lot of times I wish that was different, but it brought me here. I just think when you move up in a company and you move up in your career, how you interact with people, how you lead has been something I probably learned the most about. We joke about the trash at the office. I used to. If you fill up the trash, please, dear Lord, just take out the trash. I can't comprehend.
Just be a functioning adult.
I don't care if you live with your parents, if you live with your mom, if you live with your grandparents, if you live on your own. But like when the trash is full, we all know as adults to pick it up, take it outside. Well, I think probably 5 or 8 years ago, if you did not take out the trash, I would just scream. Like, whoever the F filled up the trash, take it out right now, no questions asked. What does that do? Yeah. Well, the person that now filled up the trash does not want to be recognized as that jerk, so they just kind of hide. The other people, now, one person made an error, and candidly a small one.
Yeah.
And now everyone is angsty because you have now yelled at everyone for something one person did. Now that person, if they go take out the trash, everyone knows they're that person. Now you got me yelled at, and now I'm angsty at you too. So you're creating so much angst for no reason. And we say often in office, we're not curing cancer. We're not saving lives. We're creating better, yeah. I firmly believe, but we're not saving lives. We're going to be okay. Calm down. And I think that is something I adopted probably far too late, because I am hyper and I am a lot, and I'm so emphatic about most things that's hard for me to do, but I have learned a lot. I've had some decent feedback from my friends that says, you are so much better at communicating, and I think that's something I learned probably, like I said, with my mom's complicated relationship. One thing that I will say to this day, like I said, me and my family get along great. We still hang out for every holiday, all those things. my family wasn't one that communicated often or well. We didn't talk about tough subjects. I think that was most 90s kids. Their family were like that. That's just who we are. That's our generation. So I feel like I learned how to communicate through time, whether it be friends like Sharina saying, honey, we got to have an awkward conversation, grow up. Or even just me. Some of those are just me realizing that's not the best way.
Just actual.
Yeah, you have to learn from your own experiences and you have to reflect often. And I often try to say, how did you do that? And how did you wish you would have done that? And I think those combined is just, you have to learn how to communicate and have the awkward conversation because as you mentioned early, most people aren't going to punch you in the face. And you're going to feel so much better when you have the awkward conversation that you will be better. And then you will learn better from that. So having the awkward conversation in a good way, that's the next step is that I think I learned was, and now you have to have it well. You can have the awkward conversation, but if you can have it good.
I can't attest to learning to do it at a high level well. But I can attest, for me, but I know it's a worthy goal, and I know it's better that way. It's mentally challenging. But that relationship to the person is where I think you've grown by far the most. It's not just capability of what you could do. It's just, if you get from point A to point B, and everybody in the car is reasonably happy,
it's way better than the alternative. Yeah.
If you beat them senseless and you drag them into point B, and everybody's exhausted in the process, like it's significantly less beneficial than if you get them all there happy and everybody's singing a song. That is gigantically hard to do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really
and it takes
really
those laps
tough.
and lessons and learns and fails along the way. Like, you're gonna mess it up. But when you notice you mess it up and you go rectify that, then you win.
Yeah.
Or at base minimum, you learn from it and you stop doing it that way. And what I learned, I think, is 99% of the time, those humans are not out for you. Yeah. They're not trying to make your day hard. And they're candidly not even being lazy. They just don't realize. She's going to be so mad. No! I know what they're just not. And so I think that lesson was so big for me because it's not about the trash. And it's not about how to get people to take out the trash. It's about how most people aren't against you. They're not working against you. That's all in your head. So just proceed with, these are good humans, especially if you've hired them, then you should only hire good humans. So if you've hired good humans and you've done your job in that area, they're just trying to do theirs.
Yeah.
Like, help them.
Yeah.
And I think that has helped me try to help more people versus, you're an idiot, take out the trash. It doesn't work. The moment I turned my viewpoint from these people are supposed to serve the company to let me serve them, that's different. And everything after that will be different.
That's awesome. How do you manage all of that? Like, there was a time, and there probably still are times where this is just a nonstop fire hose. You're trying to drink from a fire hose and just hope
drowning
to God it
occasionally.
doesn't blast your eyes out. How have you learned to manage that, and how is that work-life balance? The magical thought.
Right. And it's magic. And I think that's what I think helping me the most was realizing that. Work-life balance, if you think about balance, I always think, when I think of balance, I think about one of those old, it's like a lawyer image of the two, the balancing, there's a name for that, the scale, the balancing scale thing. That for me is just unrealistic because I think for most people that's unrealistic. It's creating a relationship with your job, your career that works for you. And I think every human is different. And I had to find what that was for me. I like to work. As I mentioned earlier, I'm so fast oftentimes that I can't do the slow work. If you're slow, it makes me want to scratch my eyes out. So for me, I like to be fast and I like to be on the go. So I think I've developed a relationship that works best for me. Is that more than 40 hours most often? Yes, absolutely. But I also know that Fridays at 3 o'clock, when I've worked a 60-hour week, I'm leaving. Because for me, that's where I have the most off times or I have the most off feeling is it's Friday. I want to go have a beer. I want to chill out with my friends. I have put in everything I can and I can stand by that. I'm going to go chill for a minute. And having that for me, trust me, not easy. I still literally, as I'm leaving at 3, think about every human being. Do they know that I work 60 hours? Do they know that this is okay? Yeah. I'm running the company, but I still really do think about that. And not even just you. I know you trust me to make that best decision. I know you have said often, like, I'm probably in debt with you for some hours. Yeah. It's not you. It's everyone else in the whole building. It's still something I always am working on. But I also know that we've built a team here that has my back and vice versa. And they don't care that much. They're not worried about how many hours I'm working. Yeah. They're not worried if I'm here at 3 because they saw me on Saturday at that other event they didn't have to be at, right? And so I think it's for me developing something that works for me and not being so worried about everyone else and their opinion of it, but more so, how do I feel? How does my husband feel, right? If he's at home like, what the F, you haven't been here one night this week, that's going to be a problem. But he's similar to me, luckily. We both like to work, and we love the run, 6:30, let's meet in the kitchen, we'll make some food, we'll eat, we'll talk, we'll sit in the hot tub, we'll go to bed. And I think that, for me, it's been a balance that I love, and now I can have that relationship with my job that I really enjoy. And then Sunday, I'm going to do my work notes, but candidly, you guys aren't getting much more from me. Yeah. Because I have a day where I'm going to let my brain rest. And so I think that's so different for everyone that each individual has to figure it out for themselves. And I think knowing that helped me do the same.
You talk about brain rest. What helps your brain rest?
I'm kind of nerdy here, so... I'm not a feelings, emotions, heartfelt human. If you know me very well, I'm a little bit more not that way, I guess.
You don't take a journal on the weekend?
Yeah. I've tried to journal so many times.
Fill my breaths.
No, I don't. I have a journal. My sister made me a journal, like leather bound. She created it all herself. It's beautiful. And I write in it sometimes, but I can't do it regularly because it feels not me. So for me, it's time with my husband. It's time doing the things I love. I love to hike. I love to run, hike. I like to work out. I like to lift weights. I like to be active. I like to meditate. The calmer things I do are probably some meditation, which is very hard for me, but I enjoy it. Like 10 minutes of silence. Good God.
I've never tried a minute, but I can only imagine what 10 would be like.
It's a lot. It's hard. I think my husband and I have really spent time developing a place we love to be so that when we're there, we can be there and enjoy the space. Yeah. So it's, my favorite day is getting up, laying in bed for a few minutes, watching like a movie or something, having some coffee, hitting a workout, whether it be a run or a lift, and then a little bit of hot tub time, maybe a cold plunge, and call it a day. I love that. Like, I love to just turn off the electronics a little bit. We are always on. Like, if you work for this company, you're checking emails on the weekend. You just can't not, because you care. Yeah. And so for me, it's how do you level that? How do you do all of the other things in the meantime? And I'm still checking my emails, but it's just less, fewer. And it's a great day for it. That's a slower day.
As you have developed those people around you, then you can similarly trust them. Just
Shelby,
like I trust
Cammie,
you.
Ashley, like these people help Kale. Like they help me on Saturday and Sunday be off. Yeah. And I try to tell them that literally every day. And then how do we get them out of it too? But these people have helped that, where I think if you look at 4 or 5 years ago, that was you and me. And Brett, I think he was maybe still here at that point. Like, when it was just me, you, Brett, running things, it was me, you, Brett, taking care of stuff on the weekends. And luckily for me, Brett was there doing a lot of it for many years. So I think it heightened through the years as I took on more, and then it decreased through these last few years too, where we have this incredible team of people like Ashley who give a crap as much as we do. Yeah. And we always joked that, well, everyone thinks we're insane, so they're never going to care as much as we do. And luckily we found some really insane people to come join us. And that's amazing. Yeah. And they help us.
And are you pulling from the 5% of weirdos that would possibly
Yes.
find this interesting? Yeah, we probably are. 95% of the world wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But those 5% of the people, they're really special. And when you put them with other 5% people, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me on the Great News Life side, tell me what the year ahead looks like. You know, all calm, real quiet.
Yeah, we're not really planning for a lot. We're really going to be chill this year, kind of keep just going with the flow. I'm kidding. Of course, as we do, that is absolutely false and probably quite the opposite. So I think this is the year that I can confidently say, as I have been talking about for years, is that we'll be in Michiana. So Great News Life, Michiana will be 2024. As some have probably seen on social media, we're already there. We've been covering sports for the high schools in Michiana for a couple of years now.
Yep.
We met back in, I think it was 2016 or 15 with Pete Buttigieg, who said, heck yeah, come to South Bend. We love you. He's not there anymore. So unfortunately, we'll have to do some more of that. But I think that's this year. And we just got recently a tour of WNDU, and we got to meet those folks at the TV station, which was so fun and such a kind of peek into that world. And like I said, my bestest friend Sharina lives in South Bend and has been she's been a kind of sort of emotional mentor for me through the years. And so getting to work in that town again and getting to be back with those friends and getting to be reconnecting with those people that I met then, but much more on a professional level than a friendship level. I'm pumped. Like that's Michiana Life is going to be super fun. We're going to just, I think, blow it out of the water. So everyone should definitely stay tuned for that. We should probably mention too, I almost forgot that we already have the date for All About the Girls 2024. So if you've not been to the event, here's your chance. I'm telling you months in advance so that you can come get your ticket as soon as possible. We had people from Florida, South Carolina.
As you say, South Carolina.
I know those two were the farthest too that traveled last year. So you can come from wherever, but it's June 20th, 2024. And it will, of course, be at Urshel Pavilion again. The Valpo Parks folks are amazing to work with, and that venue is fantastic and holds tons of folks. So I think it's going to be probably, fingers crossed, we're going to make it happen. This will be Great News Life best year. It'll be All About the Girls best year. I think both are going to take the rocket ship.
I want you to tell people why it's worth it to be as driven as you are. Just period. Not just here at work, but you're an intense person. You work really hard, whether it's your 75 hard, whether it's your Spartans, whether it's how intense you are as a wife, how involved you are in your husband's fire department, how involved you are here, how immersive and real you are with your friends. Like, you're all in on whatever you do. Why? Like, don't you get exhausted? If you're going to go travel, you go see 10 things. You don't see one.
Correct.
If you're going to go do something on a Saturday, you're going to do something in the morning and at noon and in early afternoon and then something else at night.
It's funny that you use Saturday as an example, and here's a good reason. So, of course, holidays are right around the corner. We're hitting the new year, all of those things. And my husband and I always try to catch up. Okay, what do we got? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're both running in both directions. So we're always trying to figure out when can we hang versus when will we be gone. And I said, well, Saturday we don't have anything. So we'll get everything done Saturday. You know, we've got to cook and we've got to clean and we're going to have a party. So we got to get ready for that. And we've got to cook for everybody else's parties and all that stuff. And he's like, yes, we do. You have your breakfast. I have a once a month breakfast with my sister to make sure we're always connected, which I love. That's in the morning. And then we have my family dinner at night. And I was like, yeah, but you have the whole day in between. Are you kidding me? That's how I look at it. Yeah. Like that's from like 10 to 4 or something. You can get a whole thing done in there.
Where most people are thinking, I got 2 things already on Saturday. It's going to be so busy.
I think the biggest thing I've learned probably here most, but throughout my life is the value of a minute. You can get so much done in a minute. And I just remember panicking so many times in my life, whether it be that person is just pulled into park and we just remember this thing we had to do or whatever it is, where the value of a minute. And for me, I think we are here on earth, not your job or your career or who you're married to or who you love, but we are here as a human for such a minute space that we have to use it to its fullest, because I am that person, bar none, like sleep when you're dead, right? I do rest and relax and take care of myself much better than probably my early 20s. Because this is not a new me. I've been this extra for all my whole life. In the 20s, I think it was partying versus, it's like you have to party a ton and go to college a ton and work a ton, because I had to work full time. I had 2 jobs through college. So for me, it was, I'd rather slide in sideways to that casket than dip a toe, because it's just, we can get so much more experiences under our belt and in our brain and in our memories when you are extra. When you do work at that speed, or you're at that speed, because you're right, it's my whole life. It's not work.
You socialize.
I'm not obsessed with my job. I'm obsessed with everything I do.
You eat, you experience, you entertain, you whatever, with gusto.
My best friend was just in Italy. She invited me. Well, when you go to Italy, most people, she went for almost 3 months. Most people go for at least a week or 2. I went for 5 days. Well, 5 days is actually 3 because you're traveling. So I did that. Like, I'm going to go to Italy and I'm going to run around barely sleeping for 3 days, because that's so important to me, is to develop all of as many experiences as possible within your life. And we don't know how long that's going to be. So if that's tomorrow's my last day, I want to make sure I do that thing today. And that thing can be resting in bed. It can be hanging out with my husband. It doesn't have to be some Spartan race. But for me, I want to experience as many different things as possible and find all of those arms of my life. If you think about your career and your friends and your family, these are all kind of arms of your life. And I want as many as possible, because we are here for a very short time. Like, trees live longer than us. So how do we ensure that we're not the tree? Because that's pretty boring. And we go around and experience as much as possible. I want to see the world. I want to meet all the great people. I want to succeed in my career. I want to create a space for me to grow into the community I serve. Like, I want all of those things. Well, if you want all of those things and you're dead serious about it, then you got to go. And you got to go at a rate that maybe some aren't comfortable with. And that's okay for them. It's just, this is my rate. Yeah. And I have, through probably a lot of struggles and a lot of negative input from others, come to accept that. This is me. I am me. I'm growing always, learning always. Am I ever going to be a calm person? No. Yeah. I don't want to be. And that's okay. And I think being able to look at yourself, know yourself, and accept that has been such a blessing to me, because I want to continue to grow, but I want to be humble, but I want to be okay with me. Yeah. And me is fast, and me is extra, and me is bougie, and me is the person that's going to try to outdo everyone in the room, because that's what we should all be doing. And you might not have an opinion, but I do. And so that's what I'm going to shoot for. I'm not mad at somebody that doesn't feel that way. It's just, that's kind of how my brain works. So I want to embrace that, I think.
Yeah.
The most as possible.
Fight it. Yeah. Embrace it.
Yeah. Why not? Who cares? I like me. You might not like me. I'm not your person. That's okay.
And I think it's embracing whatever you are, because it sure doesn't take a dozen Jennies here to do this.
Right.
So that would probably self-combust. It takes a Jenny and an Ashley and a Cammie and a Shelby and a Damon and a Kale and Aubrey and Lauren and Monica and everybody.
It takes all of those humans to make it work, and that's because we're all different.
Yeah.
Aubrey and I are very different speeds, but that's because Aubrey has to write content that is in depth and understandable and all of those things. If I wrote the article about the financial blah blah blahs of 24 like she does, it would be terrible, first off, but also it would take me way longer, because I want to work at this speed that's crazy fast, and that's not that. Yeah. And she does it perfectly, because she works at a speed that makes that work, and I work at the speed that makes me work. And I think those are different because we're different humans. Yeah. And I like that. And I think that's the biggest part, is people in my life, like Sharina and my mom and my husband, Deanna Grimes is a great example. Candace Arvin's a great example. Karen was a lifer forever. These folks in my life have taught me to be who I am. And the moment you can do that, and not only accept it, we all try to accept who we are and be that person. Be in love with it. Be in love with who you are, because you can't change it a ton. And same thing, that Ann I brought up earlier, she's a lot like me, honestly. She's always a little loud, a little rude, a little boisterous.
No, really. Wow.
I know, you probably haven't seen those of me.
This is my stunned eye expression.
I love it. I want to be that person. I want to be the extra person. And she loved who she was. And I don't know enough. I was young when she passed away. I was probably 23 or 5 or something. I don't know. But I was young enough that I don't know a lot about her emotional states in life. But I know it seemed as though she loved who she was. And if you didn't, was okay with her.
Yeah.
And that means a lot, because if you can just love who you are, other people will too, because they see the confidence behind that. And you might be weirder than them or different from them or faster or slower or whatever it is, but the moment you're you, people see it and they latch onto it. And I love that. And I think I've decided to be that who I am, and I'll find my people.
Yeah.
And I found my people.
And ultimately, when people just are who they are, they're more natural to be around, because they're just themselves. Mm-hmm. My model in starting this whole thing was, my mom saying, if you don't have something nice to say about somebody, don't say anything at all.
Right.
If you're not in their life, you don't know what their situation is. So sort of leave well enough alone. But I watched my mom in her later stages of life, probably in her last, 10 years, become herself. And she was a lot more comfortable being Omi, we called her, but she was a lot more comfortable being Omi as an independent person than she was as a married person. Mm-hmm. And she found herself. And we'd be like, Mom, don't eat fried chicken at 10 o'clock at night, but I like it.
Yeah.
Mom, maybe
smoke less, drink less, do whatever it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mom, and she's just like, I like eating
but garlic
chips in bed. I like having a vodka 7-Up, just barely introduced to the 7-Up.
Yeah. We wave the 7-Up over the vodka. That's how we do that.
I feel better if I have a cigarette after dinner. It's just me.
Yeah.
And
unapologetically you.
It's not like my mom's a crazy lunatic, bar fighter.
But she had a couple cocktails. She had a cigarette or two. Yeah.
She's just an incredibly wonderful, loving Irish person of great spirit.
Yes.
She was
the spirit's important.
If she got on an elevator, by the 4th floor, she knew 2 people. By the 11th floor, she knew 4 people. And by the time she got up to the 12th floor, she was having dinner with somebody.
Yep.
And
how many friends do I have from random meets at a restaurant or bar? Literally, we have friends that we've traveled with. I mean, Dawn, who I mentioned early on, same thing. We met each other as servers at a Pizza Hut, and now we have literally been to the Canary Islands off of Spain together, because we make friends like that, and that's who we are as people. But if you don't embrace it, then you won't have that, and that's such a magical piece of a person.
Well, and it's a really cool piece of you that is distinctly different from me. I go on a vacation and I say, I want to talk to my wife. Please don't ever talk to me.
No one else.
I want to read.
I'm going to go by ourselves. We're not bringing family or anything weird. Oh my gosh.
London, whatever. It's just, dude, I'm here to spend time with my wife. I don't get to see her enough. Please don't talk to me.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, me and my husband, we love to talk to random humans.
Yeah.
Is it
so
the bartender?
Let's go kayaking together or whatever.
Yeah. A lot of the great relationships I have in my life are from a random conversation that went well.
Yeah. We're going to jump to speed round questions.
Oh, Lord. So I'm a little nervous, I will say. I have never had to be on this end of this. And I always joke about how I, during the speed round, I'm like, buzzer, it's so funny. Now I'm nervous.
Okay,
or else.
This one, I guarantee, just the way you are, I know what the answer is.
Okay.
Is your bed made right now?
Mm-mm.
No?
No. I know. You thought other? So
I thought, you're so disciplined. Like, you make your
I am.
meals and your outfits.
So here's why, because there
12
is a
days
reason.
ahead,
Because
like-
all of the fancy people, they always talk about like make your bed. If
Yeah.
it's one success.
disciplined,
If you're
you should
the
be a
good person,
Marine,
you're
all
gonna
that
make your
kind
bed
of-
every day. Here's why I don't. Number one, depending on my workout schedule, depends on who gets up first.
Okay.
So if I'm doing the right things and not being lazy, I get up first. So I can't make it then.
So it's Kevin's fault. That it's
Sure.
not
Yes. Can we blame it? Yeah,
Yeah.
let's just do that. No. And we, Cami always says, link to a happy life is separate blankets.
Okay.
And I 100% agree with this because my husband is 6'4". So, and he says it's me. I say it's him. He's a blanket hog. He says I am. So we have separate blankets as well.
Okay.
Well, mine's, of course, who I am, is the nice blanket. It's pretty, so it would be our comforter, our duvet.
His is
His is
a work
ratchety,
blanket.
old,
It works.
Kevin blanket, yeah. So I have to wait till he gets out of bed, which sometimes he gets up before me, so sometimes that's fine. But then I have to make the bed where I put his blanket down and then my blanket on top, and then we're going to literally separate them in 4 or 9 or 12
just more
hours.
work.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I love to wash my sheets. I make my bed on the weekends. And on the weekday, I just don't. Because I just am like, you know what? We're going to pull this all apart in 12 hours. Who the hell
Why?
cares?
Yeah. What movie do you enjoy quoting the most?
I don't know if I'm going to say the answers to these.
Cami gave these questions. She may
So
know
that's the thing. Is
something that's going to trip
if you listen
up.
often, people will not know these questions because Cami, dang it, knew I would know them. So she made her own that I didn't know so that this would be very genuine and she's not doing a bad job. So a movie I like to quote, I have all of these. So if you know me well, I didn't watch movies because I was way too hyper. So for me, I didn't watch movies until probably my mid-20s, where like my friends like Dawn, who I met when I was like 19, I'll call her, she'll be like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, just watching this Christmas movie. She's like, you're watching a movie? I'm like, yeah. She's like the whole thing? And I'm like, I mean, we'll see how it goes, but yeah, I think so. She's like, weird. So that's who I've been for so long. So the movies are so strange, but probably some key movies for me are Elf. Like, if I see Santa, I immediately have to say, Santa, I know him. Like, it's just immediately what happens. Another one I joke about a lot is what is his name? It's not Kevin Green. Ben Green? He's an old comedian. He did a movie called Freddie Got Fingered, which is this funny movie from, is it Kevin Green? I can't remember his name, but he did a movie back in, same thing, early 2000s, maybe late 90s, and it's just really funny. And he would dress up to make his stepdad mad, he would dress up in a suit, but he'd put it on backwards, and he'd walk around, backwards man, So I wrecked a kayak once, paddling backwards, singing the Backwards Man song. Tom Green, thank you. I couldn't remember. It's Tom Green, not Kevin Green.
If you could be transformed into one animal, what would you choose?
Ooh. I've been asked this question before for a birthday years ago. Candace, who used to work here as a lifer, she one time said, if you could be any animal, what would you be? And I said, a unicorn. And then I said, or a shark.
Yeah.
Or could I be a shark unicorn? So I didn't know at the time she was doing it for my birthday. So she got me balloons she got me a unicorn balloon to wear as a hat, and then she got me a shark balloon to float in my room. And I think it's some weird mixture of a shark unicorn. I love the gem glitter bouginess of a unicorn, and I am in my whole soul probably a shark.
You're a very unique person, which makes a unicorn.
Yes.
You're a very methodical, very decisive person, which makes you a shark.
Yeah.
What dish do you cook best?
Sushi.
Okay.
I love to roll sushi.
What's your hidden talent?
Oof. I don't hide much, so most people... It's not the talent, it's the hidden part. I know.
I don't know. Like, your life's pretty transparent.
I Sushi's a good one. Like, it does take talent to roll sushi, and I managed a sushi bar in college. So and the sushi chef taught me how to roll sushi. So that's probably a hidden talent not a lot of people know about me. And a lot of people, I just found this out. I thought everyone knew because I am boisterous and talk about everything. I just finished my 10th Spartan race, and same thing. I'll talk to people about how I like to run, or I do Spartans, and they're like, yeah, me too. I just did a 5K. So I've done probably I think my racing or running career, air quotes, I've never been fast, is one that people don't know about. I've done, I think, 7 half marathons. I've never done a full. I don't want to. And then I've done 10 Spartan races, even the Beast, which is the biggest. So that's probably another hidden one.
Impressive as hell. Your favorite board game?
Farkle. It's a dice game. I don't know.
Okay.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Okay, Farkle.
What never fails to make you laugh?
That's a good one. I think my husband has jokes. My husband's jokes. He's corny. It's actually specific. My husband's dad jokes. Okay. I hate them, and they always make me laugh, even when I'm mad about it. I will be mad about it, but I do laugh.
Have you ever worn socks with sandals?
No, absolutely. No. That's a psychopath job. No.
Morning or evening?
In general? It just says morning or evening?
No, it just says
evening.
Morning or evening?
I think evening.
Okay.
Just more fun.
Do you watch shows one episode at a time, or you binge whole seasons?
You have to binge.
Yeah.
All day.
Would you rather fly or have super strength?
Whew, that's a tough one. I think...
Like, you have super strength now.
I know, you're right.
Do you want to trade it for flying?
I do have super strength, and I feel like I'm just going to take the flying.
Sort of a cape
because
kind
I'll probably have
so
both. Yeah, I do have a cape too, so I need to pick flying.
Okay.
And then I can get to where I need to go, and we'll worry about the strength later. Or I'll just bring Kevin along with me. He can fly with me on my back, and then he can be the strength. Done.
Smart. Would you rather travel to the past or to the future?
I don't like to look back. Let's go future.
Okay. What's your guilty pleasure?
Goodness gracious. I guess it's not that guilty, but I love a really good smoked old-fashioned. So not in the cocktail world, folks. That's a boozy beverage. It's very much based on bourbon. And then they smoke it, so it's got some smoky flavors. I love a smoky drink, so a smoky old-fashioned.
Last impulse buy.
You'll see it later today. It is an obnoxious Santa hat.
Okay. Close to what, like, we saw it All About the Girls with the giant band leader?
No, not that big, or not that bougie. But it's a cute, obnoxious, and needless. There was no reason. I just thought it was really cute, and I was going to wear it for 2 days this year. So,
what mythical creature would you believe was real?
A dragon.
Okay.
Yeah.
What world record do you think you have a shot at beating?
It's not obviously a world record right now. Grit. Okay. And I think I don't know. I feel like I'm a little too old, but if you think about grit, I think that's one of my superpowers. I'm a gritty person. We're just going to grin and bear it, and we're going to get through it, and we're going to figure out the rest later. That's who I am as a person, and I do think that that's caused me a lot of my wins through the years. It's just, no, we're going to do it. Not enough time? Yes, there is. You know, you just go against the grain.
Are you a little bit like sandpaper sometimes?
Yeah.
But that's grit.
But we got it done.
That's going to polish it and get it done.
But that's what works. Yep.
What object do you misplace or lose the most?
I think it's a tie between cell phone and keys.
Oh, I was going to wonder if it was laptop.
Too soon. For those that don't know, I may or may not have left my laptop in Italy and had to have it shipped back, which was dramatic.
What is the stupidest dare you ever agreed to that could be shared on a podcast?
Yeah, good call. The crazy driving dares. I look back at it now and I just think we were idiots. The chance of something scary happening on that country road when you're like, let's just go through that light and see what happens. You're insane.
Yeah.
But we used to do that as kids all the time.
Yeah.
Why do people do? Why would you do that?
Last question is, what's the best advice you ever received?
It's that we talked about it a lot, I think, today and candidly, I think it's from you, my husband, Sharina, Dawn. They have all taught me to be you regardless of what anyone else thinks. And I think Dawn is by far one of the most accepting and forgiving individuals I've ever met in my life for everyone in her life. And for me, that means a lot. And so for someone like her to tell me that means a lot. And and I found absolute truth in it. When you are you, regardless of whatever anyone else thinks, everyone else actually thinks pretty good about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's
and
really
if they
great
don't,
advice.
they're probably not people that you really particularly
They're not
care
your
what they think
people.
about.
Like, you got to find your people.
Bad. It just makes them not a fan of mint chocolate chip.
Yes,
doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Who cares? I don't care if you don't like this. I get it.
Yeah.
I don't like it some days. But it's me. And if that's a pain in the butt sometimes, not wrong. If that's hard sometimes, not wrong. If it's awesome sometimes, also not wrong. But it's me and it's genuine, and that takes the least amount of energy or effort to be who you are because you're not trying to be someone else. And it tends to have the best outcome.
Well, I personally, and we as a company, love you being you.
Thank you.
So this happens because of you being you. A lot of this stuff every day now happens because of you being you.
Thank you.
And not on me. And that's ultimately all I really wanted to start. I wanted to get a good group of people together, have them do cool stuff, and spread positive impact. I really want people to lean in to what they're doing. And the fact that you lead all of these people every day, and I've got that kind of trust in you, I think that's just a testament to you and why those 45 people are talking to you, because they see the same thing in you. And
Thank you.
I'm excited that now across the region they're seeing the same thing in you, and in South Bend they're going to see the same thing in you, and it's exciting for me. So it's cool to be a part of this. And on behalf of Natalie and I love our company being run by a unicorn and a shark. So.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it a ton. This is fun. It wasn't as hard as I expected. Those speed round questions, Cammie, were a bit tough, but that's okay. But I'm excited. Thank you for doing what you do and allowing me to do the same. And I'm pumped for next year. So 2024, y'all, by the time you listen to this, we're here and we're excited. And it's going to be the company and the podcast and the events best year yet. So please come along with us on that ride and help support us and share the mission. Thank you.